of the screen when this driver got off of the 405. You see there at this intersection, all those cars sitting there at the light, and you can see that Jeep then go a bit up on that hillside there, just trying to get around these cars, makes a very sharp right turn here in front of these cars. Really just anything to get through this intersection. And then you watch as that driver just gets right back up on the 405, and then we saw that other cruiser there, but that cruiser is certainly keeping its distance. There's that cruiser right there on the side of the road there. You can see they take off as well, but keeping their distance. This driver certainly being followed by airships now, not only the media, but law enforcement as well.
Yeah, that's right, Amy. I'm also listening to the air commander here at the CHP helicopter. They are coordinating with the LAPD because they believe just about any direction this driver is going to go for the foreseeable future will be LAPD's area. However, while he stays on the freeway, CHP is going to be the primary chasing agency here. There was some discussion after that incident at the Roscoe off-ramp where he went up into the bushes. The air commander requested the watch commander, hey, listen, do we want to re-engage with this driver? It looks like we may need to really sort of get this person pulled over as soon as possible, but the watch commander did say no, we're going to stay in surveillance mode. We're going to track this only from the air, but there are CHP resources about a mile behind here. They are tracking him. There are ground units in the back, but probably a little bit further away than the driver can see, and I don't think they actually have their lights and sirens on. And
certainly they keep their distance, hoping that it will slow this driver down so that they will not be so aggressively trying to get away, but this driver certainly aggressive on the right side here, looking like they may in fact trying to see if they're just trying to go around on the shoulder or if they will be attempting to get off of the 405 here shortly, but certainly aggressive driving. And we see things are starting to back up a bit here, Mark, here on the 405, a little traffic, and this driver may in fact choose to get off because of all the traffic.
Well, we are deep in the Sepulveda Pass right now. He did not get on the 101, and now he is heading through the Sepulveda Pass on the 405. There is a lot of traffic right now. You know, he's heading up the hill right now. That's where it slows down. If you're familiar with the Sepulveda Pass, once he gets to the crest, it might pick up a little bit. But yeah, he's avoiding all of the traffic by driving on the shoulder. This is a very busy time of day through the Sepulveda Pass on the 405. You know, he's passing the Skirball Center. And then it's going to dump him out, you know, into the Brentwood area by UCLA. As you can see there, we're approaching Getty Center Drive. So the Getty Museum is going to be up on this driver's right-hand side on the hill. But very crowded, as you can see, and still a lot of airships overhead chasing this guy as we head basically into the Brentwood area this afternoon.
And, you know, anyone who lives in the area knows the 405, it really doesn't matter what time of day, what day of the week, it is going to be jam-packed. And we're seeing that. And it looks like this driver is now getting off. It almost looked like, Mark, but we are not as close to the car now.
Yeah, we may be in trouble in terms of weather, though. This is a problem I do see. Looks like KCAL may be hitting a weather bank there that we may not be able to proceed any further south. Let me get on the horn with my assignment desk colleagues in the newsroom and see what's going on.
And we do want to let people know that this is a pursuit that started almost 30 minutes ago at about 10:30. This driver was on the 14 headed south when deputies tried to pull this driver over. That driver resisted and actually attempted to run over or hit the deputy that was making that stop. We have learned that the car, that Jeep, did not in fact hit the deputy or run over the deputy's foot. No one was injured in that attempted stop, but that driver then took off and has been leading officers on this pursuit now for about 30 minutes. Of course, we are now seeing that there is a lot of fog, and it looks like KCAL has had to break apart from this.
Well, okay, Amy, I just got off the phone, and I thought maybe this was the case why we weren't heading south. It's not because of weather. It's because of something called a temporary flight restriction.
Oh.
Vice President Kamala Harris is in Southern California, and whenever she is here, there is always a flight restriction in a bubble of about 3 miles around wherever she is. Now, she is in the Brentwood area right now. I don't have an exact location on her, but basically no non-law enforcement aircraft can fly in this area. You know, the CHP and the LAPD, they have a transponder, they have an exemption,
yes.
They can fly.
Mark, we do want to welcome our CBS viewers at this time. We are being joined by CBS viewers as well as our anchor, Jasmine Veal, joining us now as we continue to watch this pursuit.
Yeah, as I was saying, Amy, this we do want to welcome our CBS viewers, and this pursuit, we're having a little bit of trouble following it with KCAL because of something called a temporary flight restriction that is in place around government officials like the vice president or the president. If the president was here, there would be no aircraft flying in 30 miles around. But because it's the vice president, her temporary flight restriction, or TFR as it is called, is much smaller. It's only about 3 miles. But unfortunately, this pursuit driver, this fleeing driver, has driven right into that area. So no media airships of any kind, including KCAL, can really follow into this area. I can see on the radar, we are skirting this area as we move over to the east to try and get eyes on this driver. Now, KCAL's camera has an exceptionally powerful zoom. I know that our cameraman up there is doing his best to try and find where this vehicle is right now. But yeah, if this driver does continue to head southbound on the 405, they will eventually pass through this flight restriction area, and we will be able to resume our coverage of this pursuit. But rest assured, I do see a law enforcement helicopter continuing to move southbound on the 405, which I believe is tracking this vehicle right now, still on the 405 south.
And we've been watching very closely here that there have not been cruisers close behind this Jeep because they are really trying to get this driver to slow down a bit and not be so aggressive. And in times like this, you just don't know how dangerous this person is willing to get to avoid being caught by officers. But on the freeway here, no chance of spike strips, no chance of doing a pit maneuver. And even when they get off of the freeway, if in fact they do, this is a larger vehicle, making it a little more difficult to actually do a pit maneuver.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mark. I
was going to say, pit maneuvers, you know, there are a lot of sort of, I won't say rules, but they want to make sure that they are within a certain speed range when they do a pit maneuver, and they kind of can modify that based on the size of the vehicle. You're looking at a speed range of about 35 to 40 miles an hour. Any slower and the pit maneuver is not going to be effective. Any faster and that vehicle can spin wildly out of control, colliding with another vehicle, or even just tipping over. I can tell you right now that KCAL has now made it to the south end of the temporary flight restriction. So we should have eyes, and I think that's it. We are now looking north on the 405 as this vehicle comes south to us. I saw on the radar, actually, KCAL really stepped on the gas and moved it up more than 110 knots southbound through the Brentwood area, got ahead of this pursuit onto the south end of the flight restriction. And now here it is, Amy. We've got eyes on it as it comes towards us, as we're basically right over the intersection of the 405 and the 10. And this driver is approaching that intersection now.
That's right, and you can still see that deep red Jeep there coming up on some traffic. Of course, the 405 is always, a tricky place to be, because no matter what day, what time, there is always a lot of traffic. And this driver appears to be getting off of the 405. Maybe there was just a little too much traffic for them to endure, but this certainly makes the pursuit a little more dangerous, because you've got people out there, you've got pedestrians oftentimes on the surface streets, and they have no idea that this Jeep is coming barreling through. Very aggressive there, getting off of the highway there. But it looks like they're slowing down.
Slow, for some reason, coming to a stop, and as we enter the 11
the tire might be flat there. Does that look like that? The front driver's side tire looks flat, doesn't it?
And I'm not sure if this driver is even aware of what's going on. I hope he's not going to carjack another. And that's always a concern too. Okay, so CHP right on his tail.
Yeah.
He attempted to get out and then jumped right back in. I wonder what his plan, either to run or to jump in that other vehicle, which I'm unsure, what that driver is doing. parked behind this guy.
Yeah, I think it looks like that tire is flat. It looks like perhaps he was going to make a run for it. Saw how close those cruisers were. You can see that person there behind them trying to back up, get away. The windows are open. Looks like he's raising up his hands.
Hands are out.
And we can only hope that this is going to come to an end.
Yeah, I had a little bit more information. They were discussing the actual altercation with the deputy on the radio. It turns out it appears that the vehicle itself was the use of force. During the traffic stop, it doesn't appear that there was any sort of physical confrontation between the deputy and this driver that it initiated this pursuit. Rather, the driver used his vehicle in a manner that was described as an assault on the deputy. So I think when this driver attempted to run over the deputy, that's what they considered to be the use of force here and the assault on the law enforcement official. But as Jasmine and Amy, you were saying, this does appear to be coming to an end. This is, unfortunately, we are sandwiched between two flight restricted areas. Kamala Harris's flight restriction to the north and the LAX flight restrictions on the south. So KCAL is doing its very best to maneuver to get the best shot that we can. We are at maximum zoom here, but it does look like this driver is opening this door now, and perhaps this pursuit is coming to an end.
And after leading CHP and deputies on multiple freeways, it started, I think, Amy, you said the 14, but it moved to the 5 and then the 405, and here we are ending this, hopefully in Culver City, as he had just exited the freeway and had some issues with his Jeep there, maybe a flat tire and getting out, hands are up.
And it's still unknown whether or not there's anyone else in this Jeep. Those windows, dark tint on those windows, it's hard to see if anybody else is inside that SUV at this point, but it does look like this driver is complying with the demands that we can be certain those officers are actually giving him at this point, walking to the sidewalk and hands up. And of course, we know that they will have to do a search of that Jeep and make sure no one else is in that Jeep. But it looks like the driver getting down onto his knees at this point, complying with all of this.
All the demands as they move in. And we'll take him into custody. And then, as you said, do a search of the Jeep. Bringing this to a conclusion, a little over 30 minutes after this initially started there, as Lancaster Sheriff's deputies attempted to pull the driver over in that red Jeep. They called him an assault suspect because of allegedly using that Jeep to run over a deputy.
He attempted to run over a deputy, but
no
he was being
injuries.
stopped there on the 14, but did not actually hit the deputy, but certainly made an attempt. And so that is what was part of the concern here, and just how desperate someone may be to get away from officers if they are willing to do that. But we are watching as CHP officers are searching that Jeep. It does not appear that anyone else is inside that vehicle. Looks like they're giving it the all clear. Now checking the back of the Jeep to see if anyone is in there. And Mark, I'm not sure if you're hearing anything additional than what we're seeing right now.
You know what, Amy and Jasmine, it sounds like this is going to be what's called a Code 4, which is the law enforcement code for everyone in custody. No further danger. It looks like that vehicle was empty and that driver did surrender without incident.
All right, we're going to say goodbye to our KCAL viewers and our anchor, Amy Johnson. Mark Liu has been with her on the desk covering the chase and then the end of this pursuit. All right, and we now